Last week, we discussed what metrics you should be measuring in your business and how to do that. This week, we're going to be talking about how to take those numbers and that data and analyze that information so that you can make better decisions in your business. The biggest reason we want to measure these metrics in our business is so that we can stop doing things that aren't working. For example, knowing where your marketing dollars are going and what the return on investment on those efforts and that investment is to see if it's something that's really giving you that return. One of the things that I did when I first started my insurance agency was sponsor a ton of events. I would have booths, I would sponsor local community teams, different things like that. And to be honest, it was great for branding, but it really didn't correlate to direct revenue into our agency. And so as soon as I was able to measure those metrics, I could get rid of that and stop doing those things. The other thing that you can measure that you can stop doing if it's not working and you see that the numbers are not adding up is how you set up your employees and your team and the entire operational system. If you notice that the team members that you have are not bringing in at least enough revenue to cover their seat in your business or your agency, it might be time to reevaluate if they are the right person or in the right position that you have them placed in currently. Let's be honest, after a certain period of time, if they cost you more than they make you, then they've got to go. The next thing that we started noticing when we were measuring the right metrics is what kind of business we wanted to actually write. What type of people did we want to compose of our book of business? And we were able to really pinpoint the type of business that just wasn't great and stop quoting those people. And finally, some of the things that you want to stop doing, and the only way to know that is if you're measuring it, is your retention efforts. Maybe stop buying those birthday cards when you still have all these people leaving your agency and you're spending all this money and effort handwriting birthday cards or using a service that maybe costs money. Maybe there's other things that you can be doing with that money or that time that's going to bring a better return for retaining the type of people that you have in your book of business. Sometimes the only way to know this is to test different things out. But when you realize they're not really working on your retention efforts, then it's time to switch it up and continuing measuring the metrics of the things that you're doing so you can see how well it's going. So we can then shift our focus and our funds into go deeper with our clients and go deeper into our book of business than to try to go wider. We want to go deeper into our book of business and the people that we are working with so that we can make more money, be more profitable, and not spend as much time servicing these people, chasing after them, etc. Because let's be honest, if it's not helping you retain or gain revenue, it's not serving your business, and therefore you shouldn't be wasting your time on it. When you have the right data measured and you're able to analyze that information, it really helps you look at the bigger picture. Having accurate data tells you what you need to know in real time so that you can make the right decisions for your business. But also to be able to make projections on what's going to be coming down the pipeline in the future if things continue the way they're continuing, whether that's positive or negative. And if it's negative, then you can actually pinpoint what it is that's not working so that you can do something about it. And if it's positive, but you'd like to increase it, then now you know what things you should be going harder on in those sections. You'll be able to look at the data that you have and go back through the history of your business and see what the projections have been and where you're going. So you can go back and see all the growth that you've had and then see how you can improve that growth moving into the future. But there's only one way to do that is to have these numbers and these things measured on a daily, regular basis. So if you have not watched the video from last week, make sure that you watch what metrics you should be measuring in your business, and then come back and watch this again to understand why it's so important to analyze them. However, I am going to go into when you should be checking these things and how often they need to happen. Once you have all these things measured and tracked over a period of time, I would say anywhere from 30 to 90 days just to start. And if you can go back further and input that data and have all of that handy, even better, because then you can see a longer history of what your business has been doing. But let's just say you've got this information already done and now you want to go in to analyze it. So what do we actually analyze and when? On a daily basis, we are going to be looking at our sales and retention. That means we're going to be looking at our sales numbers, the leads that are coming in, trying to see where they're coming from, what our closing ratio is, and how well we are doing with quoting and moving them through the sales process to being a client of ours. The other thing we check on a daily basis is our cancellation rate. Now, a lot of us in the industry talk about retention rate, but we really focus on the people that are actually canceling so that we can try to retain them. We do have another process that I will talk about in a second on the people that we're trying to retain. But if people are canceling, that means you're not retaining them, and so that is our focus. So on a daily basis, we look at sales and cancellations. On a weekly basis, we continue looking at sales and retention, but we're looking at it on a week-to-week basis instead of on a daily basis. Then when we have all these numbers tracked, it's so easy for me as a CEO and the agent to come in, take a look at what's happening number-wise, and just get a quick snapshot of our business, get in, get out, and move on with the things that I'm doing. So now we've got things tracked on a daily basis, and then we're tracking them on a weekly basis. But we're going to be looking at the end of the month of our total sales, what we've canceled, what we've retained, how much money we've spent on marketing, and how much money that marketing helped bring into our agency as far as revenue. And then we're gonna be combining all the money that we made in revenue in our agency, all the money that went out in expenses in our agency, and we're gonna take a look at our profit margin. We wanna make sure that our profit margin is as high as possible, and if we're able to analyze the transactions that are coming in and out and seeing what is happening with the funds and the revenue that's coming in and how it's correlating to how successful we are with our sales production, with our retention, we'll really get a good understanding of what's happening in our agency and if there's any areas that we can decrease some expenses and maybe boost some of that revenue. Then, on a quarterly basis, what I like to do is take a look at the last 3 months' actual sales versus our goals that we've had in place for our sales. Same thing with our retention. How much did we actually retain versus how much we wanted to retain? And see where we are at. Because I do think that on a month-to-month basis, sometimes it's hard to see what's really happening in our agency, and some months are gonna be better than others. And if we can look at it on a quarterly basis, we can really see the months that are better than some of the months that weren't. We can see more of an average than necessarily those up and down kind of peaks and valleys of what's happening in our agency. So I really like to take a look at it on a quarterly basis, and I do share that information with our team to see where we are at. So I will take a look at Q1, Q2, Q3, and then Q4, obviously in an annual situation. And again, when I'm looking at the quarter, I'm gonna look back at our marketing return on investment, and I'm also going to be looking at our profit margins. How much did our book grow? How much did we retain? How much new business did we sell? How much profit did I get to keep in the business? And what things do I maybe want to invest in moving forward? What things are working and what things are not, and what can we do better? I've already looked at every quarter by the end of the year. What I'm gonna do now is look at the entire year, analyze again our sales and retention, because honestly, in our industry, those are the two things that we really do, is we sell business and we try to retain it. And then I'm gonna look at our return on investment on our marketing and also our profit margin. I'm also going to take a look at this year versus last year and where I would like to see some of those numbers change moving into the next year. So now that you know what metrics you need to measure, how to analyze that information, why it's important, and when to analyze what, you should be well on your way to starting to measure the right metrics in your business and be able to take that data and make better decisions in your business as the CEO. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know if there's any questions in the comments, and we will see you on the next video.